Hello guys, this is Navjot again. Welcome to ED Technology channel, inspiring learning through education and technology. In today's topic, we are going to talk on risk mitigation, monitoring and management. It's a very important topic in software engineering. And as you know that every software when the development starts have a lot of associated risk. So in today's video, we'll be talking on those risks and also analyzing how we can overcome them. So basically, what is software risk? Software risk is nothing but an expected loss or a problem which is coming in the future. And normally what do we do with the RMM is that we plan for different types of risk. Also, if you see properly in here in the slide, risk is a possible loss. We're talking on the mitigation, which is a process to overcome those risks. Monitoring in order to, you can say that you can track the risk, monitor the risk, or maybe check whether the plans are effectively executed or not. So it's an observation procedure. And then finally the management, the subtle art of dealing with the things, wherein we ensure that whatever plans we have made to reduce the impact of the risk are there or not. Now before we go further, because we are saying that risk management is a very intricate task and very important as well. So it is very important that we understand the different types of risk. So basically the classification of risk is done into two types. One is an internal risk, other is an external risk. So normally what happens is internal risk are something which a project manager can plan, avoid, at times, reduce the impact, or maybe, make sure that in case of a risk failure, we can overcome this in a very simple, easier, or sometimes at least in a known way. Whereas external risks are something which are not, in the capabilities of a project manager. So risk such as, government changing, or maybe affect due to prices, technological upgrades, and so many things. So basically, what are the purpose of risk management? Why do we do this? So basic idea of risk management is to, first identify the risk. Because until and unless we could identify the risk, we could never overcome those procedures. Next up is, once we know the risk, we can reduce the impact. So as soon as we know the risk, there is a planning which comes into picture. There are steps we take, and then this is how we reduce the impact. As soon as we know on the risk, we can also plan to avoid the repetition of those risks. Also plan how likely this is supposed to come into picture again. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we can always monitor the progress in order to avoid those risks. So basically, this process of risk management, software project risk management, involves four important things: identification of different types of risk, then risk analysis, wherein we find out the consequences or likelihood or occurrence scenarios, the planning to make sure that the effects are reduced to minimum level, and also to ensure that whatever risks are involved, we are knowing all about them. And then finally, that throughout the project we ensure that risks are in our control. And this is how it looks like. This is a diagrammatic view of risk identification, wherein we list all potential risks from technical to social to business impact and different types. Then the analysis to give the priority to different risks so that the checklist can be performed, and then you can avoid the occurrence of those risks. Then there is planning to avoid and contingency plans, backup plans, and such that. And then finally the assessment, and it's a feedback process. It's an ongoing process, so you come to know about that. And this is my way of explaining this in a programmatical way, that if you're trying to avoid risk in avoidance strategies, so if risk is equal to found, then you do the two tasks of mitigation and monitoring. Else, if it is like unavoidable, go into the management mode and reduce the impact. Risk management is a very complicated process. Normally this task is to be performed by project managers, software analysts, and senior people. So they know what are the parameters to consider, but because you might be doing it for the first time, so you need to take into account is that risk analysis includes some complexity of the problem into account. Also, we have to keep in mind different parameters, and the most important part we take into account is the impact of the risk. So there is a technical risk which is a very high impact risk. We have to consider this as a very high priority. There is a risk of a person leaving the project and it's very low, then accordingly it's tackled. So there are different risks and they are tackled and planned and you can say managed using the impact of the risk mentioned with them. And what are the categories of the risk? If I were to say, I would say there are three types of risk. One is product risk, normally which is related to the product which you are developing, and whatever the issues or the technical limitations related to the product comes in are listed under the product risk. More broader or the higher category is the project risk, where the overall project may fail, so you can put them into higher priority, high impact risk. And the most important one, because when we say software projects, there is a monetary terms associated with that. So business impact is the largest part of those things. So business impact risk is considered the most important ones. So these are the three basic categories of software risk. And the most important part, how do I avoid them? So in normally software industries, they brainstorm, they plan, they execute, and they even do the task in a way where it's as per the schedule. And as you saw in our earlier videos also of scheduling, that every task has a deadline and number of people associated, and everything is connected. So when you brainstorm, you get those ideas very clear. Other techniques are also there wherein you can create cause and effect diagrams just to come up with more understanding of those risks. Certain tools are available in the market. So whatever I'm suggesting is at a basic student college level, a process which you can do to mitigate. As you go corporate, there are multiple tools, multiple techniques available which you can do. As I mentioned, you can even perform Pareto analysis. So this is a basic idea of what RMM is all about, and this can be applied to different projects. You need to understand your projects very well in order to do this. So I think this would be quite helpful for you to understand what is risk mitigation monitoring and management plan. I hope you would have understood this, and now you can go back to your projects and perform them. For any queries, you can always comment in our comment section. And thank you for your time. Please subscribe our channel ED Technology to support this initiative of educating more and more people. We are planning to educate everybody on computer science for free of cost. So that is the whole idea. Thank you so much. Do subscribe our channel. It's Navjot saying hasta la vista.